new Batman movie. So, new Batman movie stars Robert Pattinson, and I was very skeptical in this movie because it's Robert Pattinson. I also was very skeptical in this movie because of the fact that I'm not a big fan of Batman's early years. But this movie does take place 2 years into Batman, and I would like to say that Paul Dano did a very, very good Riddler. I will also say, spoiler alert, post-credit scene, we already know who that is. And is being played by, I forgot his name, but he was in Eternals, and he played Druid. This movie hit on a lot of good notes. A lot of the psychological horror that a lot of Batman stories like The Long Halloween has. It also hit on a lot of emotional notes. You got the bat and cat romance, which I think Zoe Kravitz did a very, very good job as Catwoman. I see a lot of people online talking about the whole racial flip of her and Jim Gordon. Listen, I'm a very lore purist, so when I tell you that the way things are in books is the way that they should be on the movie, I agree with that in certain regards. Like, if you have the ability to cast a different role or gender or race, or you can do it, but it has to make sense. Like, for example, I don't believe that Bruce Wayne should have his race flipped, but Catwoman, I think Catwoman is perfectly fine. And the reason why I say that is because it ruins the Batman character. Like, if you put Luke Fox as Batman, which people have done, that is perfectly okay. Like, I think right now the current Batman in future state is Lucius Fox's other son. I think all of that is perfectly fine, but there's also stories where Batman is, like, for example, White Knight, where a lot of the minority races came out and spoke up against Batman, and the fact that he's always chasing Joker through their neighborhoods, and is always the worst neighborhoods, and then he does devastation to it, and they can't come back from it, and all of this other stuff, where Bruce Wayne then comes and makes an orphanage or builds some, rebuilding plan, and then it gets destroyed again by Batman 2 weeks later. By casting Batman as a different race, you take that away from the impact of the Batman story. So I think that there's certain aspects where you can't racially or gender flip. In my Play on News, I talked about Stormfront being a female in The Boys, and I think that that's perfectly fine. That's okay. What's wrong with that? So I think for Zoe Kravitz and Jim, a necessity to keep them, Caucasian. If they want to flip it up, make them biracial, whatever, it's perfectly fine. I don't care. And I think that she played an amazing early year Catwoman. I am very excited to see if Robert Pattinson puts on weight for his role as Batman. I really want to see that, because you can't have a year 10 Batman now still looking like he's in year 2, fresh out of college. You can't do that. That is my only criticism. But again, I give it a pass because it is year 2. I think the bat suit worked very well. I was surprised with the whole collar for the cowl thing, but I was iffy on that, but it worked seamlessly. I didn't have an issue with it. I think the fight scenes were greatly choreographed. It showed the viciousness of Batman, where, yes, he has martial arts. He's extremely trained. At the same time, he's fucking brutal. Like he's not just sitting there, Karate Kid in the crane stance trying to fight. Like, Batman will beat your ass with martial arts, but he will look like a regular street fighter as he's Ryu. He is not Jackie Chan. Like, let's put it like that. So Batman, I think, and I guess if we're going down that vein, Nightwing would be Ken. I think that it worked very well for what it was. It was a very, very good movie. It was a very well executed movie. I think there was a lot of twists and turns, and in the end, it's debatable if Batman even won. And I think that is the theme of the story, because a lot of times in the movie, Batman was asking, am I actually making a difference? And it seems like I've been 2 years into this and the city's not getting better, it's getting worse. And by the end of the movie, it is 10 times worse, even though the Riddler is locked up. So and then with his cellmate, it's even going to be even more crazier. So I think that it was a great movie. I think very well. I think that, Falcone surprised me, the dude from but he's in everything. He was Falcone. I think he played in a very, very good Falcone. A lot of the villain from the Double Dragon movie in the 90s. He gave me a lot of those vibes. Grab his necklace and turn into a shadow. But I thought it was, besides the way he looked, I think they threw a lot of references to the Maroney family. Colin Farrell as Penguin was That surprised me. It was a very darker take on Penguin, less comical, but a lot more serious and, direct to the point, with Penguin being opportunistic little piece of shit, but dangerous. I thought that was pretty cool. And I thought the whole twist with Catwoman, no spoilers, was unexpected and out of nowhere, because we all know where Catwoman originally comes from, being raised in the sewers. I'm trying to remember who was it, the Rat King? I forgot who it was that basically helped her hone her burglary skills. But that, and putting her into an affluential family, but still in a downtrodden situation because the father didn't want her, which we're not going to spoil. But I think that was a very, very interesting twist. But all in all, this is Splice quick reviews, and if I had to go out of 5 stars, I would give this a 4.5 star. The only reason why it's missing the other half of the star for me is because, again, I believe that this movie could have been a lot better if certain aspects was tweaked just a little bit. Like the Batmobile, I get it, it's year 1, but then why did it have a thruster on it? We're not explaining where Batman is getting his gadgets from. Where we know he's getting it, obviously, from Wayne Enterprises, but there's not a lot of Lucius Fox going on here. So where is he getting his gadgets from? And they didn't really explain that, or R&D department. Batman living in the Ivory Tower instead of actually being in Wayne Mansion. That threw me off. Like little things like that. But again, those are artistic liberties. And I'm guessing by the end of the movie, that's why in the end of the movie you see him going into the house. I think all of that sets up the sequels that's obviously going to come from this. So all in all, 4.5 stars. Great movie. Go see it. Till next time. Deuces, Duddies, and Dudettes.